Well, I'm very excited to be here today. I'm very excited about the 2023 season. New conference, UAC. Really love what they're doing and how they're putting everything together and how it's coming together as one of the more strong conferences in FCS football. Like where we're at with our team currently and coming off training camp, coming off summer training and everything that's involved in that. So really pleased with the work that Billy Brown and Gregory Bourne, our strength and conditioning coaches, did this summer with our young men, and excited to have seen them for now, I guess, 3 weeks and gotten our hands on them and seeing where we have improved and where we need improvement and feel good about the areas that all that is taking in place. You know, we are a young team this year. We've got 6 seniors. Inexperience is something that says a lot about our football team. But that being said, we are experienced at the quarterback position, so very thankful that Parker McKinney chose to come back, which has been well documented, and the rest of our football team that came back throughout the whole transfer portal situation. It's been a great off season for us to be able to retain those young men in our program. Very excited about getting the opportunity to go up to Cincinnati and play in a really good football team that obviously has been well documented. They're in the college football playoffs a couple of years ago, and what all Coach Fickle did there, and as he's left now, and Coach Satterfield, who we know well from Louisville, and I've known since Appy State days, will do a great job there and do an outstanding job like he did at the University of Louisville. And I know that they're going to be ready to go for their first ever Big 12 football game, it's really not a Big 12 game, but as a Big 12 member, first game as a Big 12 member. So I know it's a huge game for them, their fan base. We'll have to be ready to go. Dominant players up front on both sides of the ball. And you know, Emory Jones, I remember recruiting, not me personally, but our staff did at the University of Tennessee way back when. So Emory's got a lot of experience and is a really good football player. So we have a challenge cut out for us, but our young men have been preparing hard and we'll be up for the challenge, and we'll go up there and look forward to kickoff. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions, and we'll go from there.
Coach, let's talk about first game, obviously, and what does it mean? These first 2 games, obviously big games for your team, big opponents as well. So how important is it to come out and kind of make an impact and put on a good display in these first 2 games?
Well, I mean, we want to do more and put on a good display, Michael. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to your question, but we won't pull into any stadium as an EKU Colonel and not go in there and expect to win. That's our motto. One of our mottos, E2W, that's what that means. And we have to approach that game that way. And so we will go up there. We understand the challenges. We understand the differences in the levels of competition. We understand all that. It's well documented. We've been told about it for all summer. We've really been told about it all week. I told the young men on Monday's meeting that everybody's going to tell you have no chance. And I get that, you know, that's how the world talks, but you know, we've been there, done that. We were fortunate enough to get an FBS win last year against Bowling Green. We understand Cincinnati's a different opponent than Bowling Green. And that's no disrespect to Bowling Green, but you know, we have to go in and play well, like we would want to play in the first game, whether we're playing our conference rivals or whether we're playing Cincinnati or Kentucky. It's a challenge for our young men. It's an opportunity for our young men to see where they place against some of the elite of college football. And so that being said, that part of it's really exciting.
When you look at your team, what do you think is the one thing that'll stick out to folks when they watch these first 2 games, or that might surprise some people?
I think, you know, we've been fortunate. We have a couple of young men that are on the radars of our NFL teams, and you know, today's a big day for Matt Jackson, Willie Taylor, TK McClendon, and others. You know, Tim Boyle and Aaron Patrick are all in NFL camps for us. But the last 3 obviously were here with us, and I think that's one thing, you know, the scouts tell us is, you know, hey man, your team doesn't look like an FCS team, and that's a compliment. They better play like they look. and that's what I keep telling them. It's great to look that way, but if you don't play that way, it doesn't matter. And so I think maybe, some of that'll, people when they see us, walk into the stadium, walk off the bus, whatever, we'll put Payton and Josiah off the bus first and let everybody see how big they are. And then, we'll go from there and let everybody figure it out where we're at. But, I think our coaches have done a great job of hitting the standard that we want to hit. As far as recruiting, we're a developmental program. We'll always be a developmental program as long as I'm alive. And so, that's just how it is. But we've got to recruit certain young men that fit the criteria. And I think that's what a lot of people will see. I hope when we leave the stadium, people say, I don't want to play them again. That's our goal. That's one of our standards is, when we walk out there, I don't want to play EKU. Whether we win or lose, I don't want to play them.
Coach, good to see you. When you're thinking about scouting UC, what threats do you see on both sides of the ball with some key players and then how they play their schemes?
Well, we've had to go back and watch Louisville, obviously, because that's who we're facing. And again, we're facing Cincinnati. I get it, but I mean, we're facing the coaches from Louisville. So it's the scheme that we saw probably in 2021 and 2022 is what we're looking at. You see, a team that loves to run the outside zone, that loves to throw it deep, have some take deep shots. Play action pass is going to be huge for them. Defensively, they're multiple. They like to get into some exotic twist and blitz packages on third down. The two inside guys on defensive line stand out to you right away. I mean, the Corleone kid and the other kid. I mean, they are, just big. One's probably a little more athletic. I mean, rumor has it he's lost some weight to play the 3 position or the 4-eye, whatever you want to call it. And so I think he, he's done that. And then Corleone is on everybody's list. We all understand that. But their Sam linebacker is really good. They've got a safety that's really good. I mean, offensively and defensively, they've got players that have left. I know they've had some leave through the portal, but I think you'll notice their size and their adaptation. And then, Emory's played a lot of football. He played a lot of football at Florida and had some really good games at Florida, and then transferred to Arizona State and did some good things up there before his injury. And so, or Arizona State, I may have said Florida. I can't remember what I just said. But, they're going to be solid. They're going to be well coached. I mean, Scott's been doing this a long time. He knows what he wants. He knows what he wants his football team to look like. You look at what he finished up at Louisville. He did a really good job there last year. And then you look at what he did at Appalachian State when he was there and the teams he played with. They played with a hard edge and they played with a mentality. And I know that's what he's going to be trying to instill in that team in Cincinnati. Not that they didn't already have some of that, so I don't think it'll be too hard to instill it. I think it's a totally different takeover for Scott than what he took over at Louisville, when he took over for Coach Petrino. So I just feel like, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to want to show the team, the world that they belong in the Big 12, and they want to try to take it out on us. And, I tell our team, we have to go out and play each play as a life of its own. Don't watch the scoreboard. And the first play should look like the last play for us. I mean, we should go out and play to a standard and a standard that we've created here and that we expect at EKU.
Coach, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just one quick question. You kind of touched on this in the beginning. Only 3 starters returning on that defensive side of the ball. What have you seen from them this summer up until now that kind of gives you the confidence that they can go out and perform in a big environment like that?
Well, I think the number one thing is we've got some guys that have been in that environment before through the transfer portal. And I think the other thing where we're different than last year's defense. Last year we had our 11. This year I think we've got more. I'm not going to say we got 22, but we're going towards 22. And we've got more depth on our defense, on our defensive line, at our jack position, even our Sam position, where Matt Jackson stayed for so many years and did a great job. And so, I feel like, that part of it is there. We have to continue to understand what they can do and what they can't do. And they may not be able to do as much as they could do last year because of the experience. So we'll have to make sure that we put them in situations that give them a chance to be successful. But we can't just be basic, because then, I mean, they're going to figure it out real good, quick, and then take advantage of it. So, that part of it is what we've been trying to do the last probably 3 weeks.
Hey, Coach, Shane Sparks. I'll be doing the sidelines for ESPN Plus on Saturday. Thanks for the time. I guess my question would be, as you, if I could give you like a crystal ball, what are you most curious to see in that crystal ball 3 months down the road? And if you could, I know this is a tough question, but football's such a team game and so many different facets. But if you had to pin it on 2 or 3 things, your success this season, how would you answer that?
Well, I think if I'm looking at a crystal ball, the one thing I came away from last season and I was not pleased with, and it falls squarely on my shoulders, is the toughness of our football team. I was not pleased with it at all. I felt like that I let our team down in that area, and that I had to take it in the off season and crank it up and demand more, expect more. And put them in situations that allow them to create toughness. We define that as what does it take to break you, and and it could be mentally or physically. So if I had a crystal ball, yeah, sure, I want to look and say yes, raising a trophy and all that good stuff. But I think if we have the toughness we need to, we will have the ability and the capability of doing that if all things are equal and we stay healthy and all that good stuff. As far as we go, if second part of the question, the best I can remember was, what 2 or 3 things do I think will lead to our success? And, we have to stay healthy. We have to stay healthy. Obviously, we have a veteran quarterback back that needs to play the full season and do everything for us. I always, say that if you got a really good quarterback, you got a chance to have a really good football team. And so we have a chance. And then the other things I'd like to see is, we are inexperienced. We are young. And I challenged our coaches in spring, and I challenged them in the summer, and I've challenged them in the beginning of training camp. We have to make sure that we're teaching these guys, that these guys are understanding what we're teaching them. They're creating what we're teaching them, and the culture has to be so that they, cannot go out, so they can go out and play freely. Because I do think we have talent. But we have to go out and be able to play freely and not be robots out there, not always be thinking and not always be, slow because of our process from our mind to our feet. And that's on the kids too. Now they have to learn what we're doing. And so I would say if I look in at, 3, whatever, however this goes, if I look back and we've done our job that way, I think these young men will go out and compete. I think they'll go out and play hard. I think they'll go out and play physical. And they'll give us opportunities, and that's all we can ask for is opportunities, is to be in it at the end and have a chance to win it.
Hey, Payton, hope you're doing well today. You guys last year did so well on the line and protected Parker well, gave him the leeway to do everything, works as a team really great. So over this camp, how have you all gotten better and improved to make sure that the offense can work just clean as a whistle?
Yeah, so I think the first thing with that is improving our communication from last year, and also just the chemistry as well. And, we've got some new pieces to the O-line this year. So, I mean, offensive line, it takes a little time to, kind of gel with each other and get that chemistry down. But also the communication is a huge factor. And not only just the 5 linemen communicating, but also we're communicating to Parker, we're communicating to the running backs. And we're also communicating to the tight ends too, because sometimes, they're blocking with us and stuff like that. So, yeah, communication and chemistry, I think, are the 2 biggest things for offensive linemen to be successful. And then, obviously, if the O-line is successful, then that will kind of drive the offense to be successful as well.
Payton, there's been a lot of preseason buzz for this offensive line with you and Josiah, the tackles, and obviously Vince is back for another year. You've had some notable transfers come in. How hard is it as a unit to live up to those expectations? And is that something you guys even talk about or even thinking about?
No, we don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I mean, we're busy enough as it is, to be honest, and we don't really have time for any of that stuff. We just come in every day and try to get better. And Coach Losey does a great job with us and coaching us. I mean, he makes sure we don't, take part in any distractions and stuff like that. So we just try to work hard every day. And I mean, we have great skill positions, quarterback. I mean, we just try to help our offense make plays and stuff like that. So yeah.
Payton, can you expand going back? You talked about the chemistry, the communication. Can you get specific on, I mean, how do you build chemistry on the offensive line? What kind of things do you do to really help with that?
Yeah, so a lot of it, honestly, the chemistry part, a lot of it, some of it needs to take place off the field as well. So obviously you build chemistry from, practicing together and stuff like that, but you really need to build chemistry off the field as well, because the closer you are with each other and, the more you know about each other and stuff like that, the more you'll, want to play for the guy next to you. And, you're not going to want to let him down, or, if you get tired and, hey, maybe, I'm going to kind of take it easy this play. Like, you won't do that kind of stuff because you don't want to let your teammate down. But it's easier to let your teammates down, if you're not really close with them, or, you're not really buddies and stuff like that. So it's really important to build a close friendship with these guys. And yeah, I mean, a brotherhood. Yeah.
What have you learned? What are a couple of things you've learned, from some of the guys that you didn't know?
I mean, like my left guard, like Vincent Munlin, he's like the biggest like artist guy you'll ever meet. Like, he can draw anything. Like, I mean, yeah, he wants to be like a animation designer. So I thought that was pretty cool. You don't really see that every day. I mean, he draws and sketches. It's actually pretty cool. Something I could never do. So yeah, just stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, joking with each other and stuff like that.
Ryan, obviously, you guys have heard a lot about the run defense, especially from the last 2 games of last season. What's the key for you guys as a defense to improving on the run stopping going into this season?
Yeah, obviously we didn't do the best job every game of stopping the run, but it was mostly based off our bad communication as a group. I feel like our coaches have done a great job this year of trying to make sure we all understand the defense, not just from a D-line perspective, but from defensive linemen understanding linebackers gap fits, understanding safeties gap fits. I feel like there's a whole lot more trust amongst the entire defense, and that will help us progressively get better at stopping the run. I can't say it's going to be perfect, but obviously that's the goal. I believe just communicating and getting through it, that'll be the easiest way.
Brian, hope you're doing well today. Thanks for talking with us. We did a package with you in on Fan Day, and you seemed really happy to meet all the fans and stuff. With the schedule like you have, where you have some new challenges and there's might be a breath of fresh air within the Colonel fan base, what was the feedback and some of the expectations or observations about the team that you got from fans just a couple of days ago?
I'm doing great, by the way. Honestly, Fan Day is always awesome because we feel like superstars. We get to go out there and sign papers, get to see a bunch of little kids. But not only that, you see parents come up to you and tell you, wow, you look good, man, you changed your body, man, you look better. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like all the work you've put in, especially for me for the past 4 years, that it's really showing. Not only that I know it, that other people can tell. So it's great getting feedback from fans, but it's also good knowing internally that I did that. I did all the work to put in for these goals, these gains that I've made, the strides that I've made. So,
Ryan, it's Shane again. I just wanted to a couple quick questions for you. You're a veteran. You've been there a long time. I'm always curious when it really clicks for you. Is there, when you look back at your career, do you have a moment or a time when it was like, that's when it clicked for me, and that's when I really understood, what it takes to have success at this level?
well, I got a whiff of that early in 2020 when we won our first game against the Citadel, but it never really clicked for me until about the media day that I went from the young guy to the old guy, like just like that, real fast. Went from a young kid who was behind a backup to now I have to kind of like lead the team, be a captain, try and encourage guys. It's honestly been awesome. I can't lie. I've enjoyed it, but I haven't had that moment just yet to where I'm like, man, this is my time. This is where we're going. And I can't wait to have that moment. And I feel like moments for me just happen. And I hope it's the first play I make against Cincinnati. I hope it might be the first play I make against UK. I don't know what it's going to be, but I've had moments throughout my entire career where I felt like I'm the vet. I'm encouraged teammates. I've been there for people. It hasn't been that transition, but I haven't made a play yet or a game yet where I've had that moment.
What are the biggest differences between you right now compared to this time last year?
The biggest differences, I feel like all those lessons my dad taught me a long time ago are finally starting to show up.
What's his name?
Ron Jackson.
Awesome.
And all those moments Coach Wells brought up back then are starting to finally form. All those quotes, all those comments, they're all starting to become a little bit more real. So I would say that's the biggest difference. My mentality's changed a whole lot since freshman year, just a little kid trying to get in the game, trying to get his feet wet. Then the next year I kind of get benched, kind of get disappointed on myself, kind of start quitting on myself now. And this year, then you keep progressing forward. And I feel like that's in my past now. That's so behind me. I'm ready to not think about myself as much and think more of a team. Think of how I can help the team win. How can we all get a national championship? Not just how I can get my own individual stats or playing time.
I can't let you go without asking you, what's your favorite wrestling memory?
Favorite wrestling memory? Other than winning state in 8th grade, which that really wasn't nothing. I was grateful enough to start the wrestling program at my high school. So being a 2-time state placer and getting my banner put up in the gym, and it's the only wrestling banner in the entire gym, that's probably the single greatest moment I've had.
We've mentioned it earlier, and you've obviously heard about it this offseason. You're one of the only players on this defense and the starting unit that has experience here at EKU. Do you feel any added pressure of knowing that you're one of the few guys in that starting rotation who kind of knows about this program and kind of the weight of that? Does that weigh on you at all?
I wouldn't say it weighs on me. It makes me feel old because all the young kids come in and they're like, wow, you're the vet, you're the old guy, you're the vet. And I tell all these people I still have a whole year left. There's no need to worry about me leaving anytime soon. But I don't feel any added pressure, especially because the guys we brought in, it makes me feel like I'm not the only one that has experience. It makes me feel like I'm not the only one out there that's played in deep games, played in experienced games. Guys like Logan Blake, Frankie West, Jalen's been next to me for 4 years. Elijah Ford's been next to me for 4 years. I don't feel alone. I don't feel any weight. All those guys help me, honestly. And it makes me feel good that I can look to my left, look to my right, and see guys that have experience, see guys that's played before. I can look to my left and see D-Bake, who's been working his tail off for 4 years to finally get on the field and be a starter. So there's no pressure. It's a bunch of guys that were sitting back waiting their turns. Just because they're not returning starters doesn't mean they were never players.